Alright, so I got the two oil pans here from both the engines. One's from the car and one's from the truck. You can see the one from the car has a front sump, where the lower portion is actually in the front of the car, and this one is actually for the back of in the back of the vehicle for the truck. So you can see how the top pattern is, where the bolt pattern is. They're the same direction right now, but that sump is in the opposite part. Basically, the rear sump is so the oil pan doesn't hit the steering linkage and the cross member, and that sump drops down right here before the transmission. And the car is set up differently. But what I'm doing is I'm going to be putting the truck oil pan on the car block. The car came with this crank girdle instead of the individual caps like the truck has. So what I need to do is I need to grind this down or cut this down and make this a little bit shorter so it'll actually fit inside the truck pan. You can see the car pan is a little bit deeper to compensate for this, and it actually has a dimple there where the girdle actually sits in. The truck pan doesn't have that, so I'm going to be modifying the girdle and modifying the pan to make it fit. Alright, so I got the crank girdle in there now. After the modification, I basically just cut that section out of there. I cleaned up this oil pan. I got all the metal shavings and everything out of it. I ended up having to pound it out in a couple spots to get it to fit a little better. And now it fits pretty much perfect. There's the pan on there right now with no gasket. All the holes line up. The gasket should raise it out a little bit more. But that's what it looks like. It fits now. So that is the 240 block with the truck pan. So it's the car block with the truck pan. I'll have to modify the oil pickup a little bit because this is the oil pickup for the car with the front sump. So you can see that my mounting location is gone. So the other oil pickup for the truck mounts here and then comes back, and it would normally bolt in right here. But I'm thinking I might have to re-weld that bracket to bolt here or bolt here. So I'll have to do that, and then everything should work perfect. Alright, so I got both the oil pickups here. This is the one from the car, this is the one from the truck. So I need to use this pipe, but I'm going to try to mount it here. So what I'm going to do, I took the mount from the other one that was normally mounted on the girdle. I just ground it down a little bit, enough to weaken that weld where I could crack it off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bolt this here using that existing hole, and I should be able to modify it enough to be able to weld it right on around the other pipe there. It's pretty close. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll do the same thing. I'll grind this down, break that off, and then I might have to bend this piece a little bit, but I should be able to get it to mount up pretty nice. Alright, so here is basically the final design of the oil pickup. I did have to bend this in a little bit. I just did it by hand, kind of tweaked it in about 3/8 of an inch. I took this, you can see where that's kind of down to bare metal there. I actually took it and straightened it out, the bend that was in it, like the factory bend. I've straightened that back out and then bent it a little bit tighter around here to give me a little more length this way. And that's good enough. So I should be able to just weld this up like this, and it should work pretty good. So the crankshaft turns freely. It's very much clear of anything, so that's not going to be a problem. The only issue I have right now is clearance with the oil pan, so I'm going to have to section out a piece here to clear the new mounting bracket. But other than that, it should go on. Alright, so here's what the modified oil pan looks like. Just kind of cut that piece out, pounded it down a little bit. Looks a little haggard, but kind of pounded it over. So it was rounded a little bit. You can see some spot there where it was actually still touching on that section of the girdle. Just a little bit, so I pounded that out, and then I pounded out a little bit where the filter was touching, and I eventually ended up just bending it down a little bit. So it looks like nice and flush. Sits, it even has a little bit of room to wiggle around. All the holes are lined up without a gasket on. Comes straight off and goes right back on. So that's pretty much it. Now that everything is modified, I can take this because this isn't tacked down yet. The pickup is actually good where it needs to be. So I'll just take this, tack it on, and then be ready to go. Alright, so I got the pieces tacked in place. I got one on each side and then one in the middle. Hopefully that should be strong enough for me to pull that off. I did cover everything in the block, so hopefully nothing fell down. So everything is tacked in place, and I'll pull it off and weld the whole thing. Right, so here is a shot of the pickup after I took it off. It did hold on. It's held on there pretty good. So now I'll go through and just do like little spot welds all the way across till it's solid and call it good. I think this is pretty thin stuff, so I don't really want to blow a hole through it, so I'm just going to be real careful and do little single welds. Alright, so pretty much all done. This is the new piece. It's all welded up. Got it fully welded. You know, you can see it's fully welded and then ground back down. I had to grind down anything that was kind of hanging off or could have potentially fallen off. So that's what it looks like now. Secured down. Oil pan goes on nice. Fits snug. Ready to bolt it down and put the engine back in the truck. Alright, got the engine in. I just got a tarp on there with a bunch of stuff because I just got done moving the truck. I actually got it sideways in my garage. So once I'm done cleaning that side, I'll be able to fit her car and my truck in here too. So I'll be able to work on this while we're still parking inside for the winter. I got enough room to open the door almost completely on this side and on the opposite side. So it should work out pretty good. It'll be a little cramped. When I start working and having to put stuff in from the back, I'll probably end up just pulling the cars out and spinning it sideways if I want to do work like that, but I think this should work out pretty good. Other than that, engine's in. I don't have the intake or exhaust manifold on yet. Still planning some things with that, so that's what it looks like.